can see it.
The full thing?
I see the full thing. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
So for those of you just joining us here, maybe just give us some feedback. Can you guys see us? Can you see Nima's screen there? He's got his fancy little iPad tool up where you can do some drawings. We'll talk through some stuff here today.
Can you see that I'm doing this, or does it show, or?
I see a black screen right now. Now I see a smiley face.
Okay, cool. So it might be acting up, but we're going to be talking about a important topic today, and I wanted to get visual with you.
Yeah.
Let's do this. We're talking about confidence.
Yes, confidence. And this is, as we've been rolling out these topics every week, we pre-planned these 6, but it's just ironic how these things kind of come up for us in our own lives where we're at the right time too. Because speaking of confidence, as it relates even, and I mentioned this in the title of this one with regards to like sales calls or just how you present yourself in front of a client or how you're even just showing up in the world in general, whether it's business or personal. Confidence and actually being confident in knowing that you are good enough, the Stuart Small, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you, But the truth is that, as Nima just put there, it's a work in progress, and it's something where you're going to have high moments and low moments. And, if anybody's been on a sales call before that's just gone perfect and you're riding high and you're feeling good, and then the next 10 don't go so well, you start to feel that like dip, right? And then you're like, oh, I'm back up again. And that's totally the roller coaster that we're on. So,
So basically, this is a very important topic for everyone, especially entrepreneurs. Like I said, it's a work in progress. It's something that I personally, it's a daily habit, confidence. And if you don't, everybody wants to see, confidence is not really about making sure that everything goes your way and that everybody likes you, and that it's not about that. It's about having the cracks in the floorboard so patched up and having such a understanding and a feeling of certainty with self that it doesn't matter if other people like you or dislike you. It doesn't matter if you get the sale or not. That's basically the end goal. And so everybody wants to feel that way. Everybody wants to walk into a room and to feel a sense of certainty about who they are. The problem is a lot of times people just live life like, they hide themselves because they're afraid of what other people are going to think. They won't even do a Facebook Live out there because what if somebody doesn't like me? You know what I mean? It's a very real thing, and it impacts us the way we are socially. It impacts the way you are on a call with a potential lead, a potential customer. So what's super duper important, if you don't get this part right, it impacts the relationship that you get into, that you feel that you deserve. It impacts the money that you feel that you deserve, that you feel that you're getting. And I spoke with somebody just recently who is not making the finances that they want. And I asked them about all sorts of reasons why, and they had everything to say about Facebook algorithms, about people out there with, attention spans or whatever, and trust and all that. But what I discovered at the end of the day was there was a lack of confidence. So what I had to do was find out why. So today, what we're going to discuss is how you can up-level your confidence and what you need to do in order to get there. I built a little model, and this is something that I've taken Trevor through, and it's made a difference for him. And do you want me to share that with these guys? Do you want me to pull the curtain?
Yeah, let's pull the curtain back, and I'm looking forward to talking through this too, because and there, just so you guys know, there's a workshop coming up this weekend, and I posted about this on my personal page. When Nima and I first connected back in March, I went through that experience, and the last 6 months, just what I've gone through, and just seeing what how things have evolved for you, even Nima, like what Nima's drawing here right now isn't something that's existed for years and years and years. It's been a result of putting in the work over the last few months in particular to really get clear on exactly how to, this is just one piece of it, but how to be more confident and how to sustain it,
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to you sharing that.
So how do you do that? Well, the first part is, it's like what you said, you know, you've gone on 10 different sales calls and then you've been rejected the whole time. And what that does is it brings a lot of anxiety. It brings back a lot of these rejection and all of that stuff. And your relationship with yourself, confidence is really about your relationship with yourself, because you live your life through your nervous system. So the first stage in developing a healthy self-confidence, I call it nervous system regulation. You got to regulate the nervous system. How do you do that? What am I talking about? Well, this is your stress levels, your anxiety levels. The load of stress in your nervous system will determine how you're being, how you're sleeping, your anxiety levels. Are you even breathing right now, Trevor? As we're talking.
You always catch me on that one, especially right when you're going, are you even? Yeah, no, I wasn't. I was holding my breath right there. And I'll be honest, and I was thinking about 7 things in my mind while paying attention to what you're doing too. But this is just natural. Like,
you just be here now while you're getting this. And while you're listening, it's the same thing. You're not alone, Trevor. Almost everybody who's paying attention, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're building a company, building a business, having a family, having challenges in relationship, dealing with some sort of a toxicity in your life, your nervous system is screwed. So the first step is to un-F your nervous system. Because when you get this part right, un-F your nervous system. Because when you get that part right, you're now in a present state. You're able to be here now, which is a hallmark of your confidence when you're at the workplace, and to be able to attract the right clients, to be able to attract the right partner. The most important things in your life are relationships, and your relationship with who you are within yourself, your nervous system, and your relationships with others. Partner and business and work, it's all depending on your connection and presence in your nervous system. That's the first part. The second thing that's effing up your level of self-confidence is, I hate to say it, any incomplete with your primary caregivers and people in your past. So in other words, what you got to do in order to get this part right is you have to get complete with past relationships. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, you don't even notice this, but what's happening is every breakdown that you've ever had, let's say you're not speaking to your father, let's say you're not speaking to your mother, let's say you had a business setback. That incomplete, one of my clients is, he's an executive with a construction company in Australia. And he was having a big problem because he was noticing a lot of anxiety. He had to numb himself every single weekend. High-powered, extremely busy, working like crazy, like all throughout the week. And then in the weekend, he had to numb himself with drugs, alcohol, which is a very common thing with entrepreneurs, with high-powered executives, people who do very challenging work. And just as I worked with him one-on-one, we started peeling back those layers. Guess what we discovered? 2 years ago, he had a complete business breakdown with the CEO of his company, where he had to file, he had to basically take him to court and really like push him out of the company, but in a very forceful way. And he wasn't complete in it. And as we started working, he started making great progress, but that started bubbling up, and he was like completely anxious. On one of the calls, he said that, yeah, I'm haunted by this past completion, incomplete. So what we did was we got to work on clearing his emotional charges that he was judging himself about, and he was resenting the other person about. So there are 2 things that are happening when you're not incomplete that is destroying your confidence, Trevor. The first one is that you're judging yourself and you're beating yourself up for it. The second thing is you have an anger and a resentment towards the other person. So that's why I created the overview method. And what we did, that's what I use in that, so that you can actually change the story, so that you see your innocence in it. because you acted exactly as you did at the time. The words at the time are magical.
Yeah.
Because what happens is everyone is making see, Trevor, look at your life, you who are listening right now. Just think of something that you're resenting from your past. Think of something that you're extremely angry about, that you just don't really want to, that you are incomplete about. And let's use the words at the time. And let's realize that at the time, you and that other person are acting in the most intelligent way that you knew, given all of the information and resources that you have and that other person had at the time.
Yeah.
And when you look at it that way, you see your innocence and their innocence. I can always look back and go, oh, geez, I should have bought more stock in Apple 20 years ago. You know, it's easy to go hindsight, but at the time, given all the information available to me, I made the most intelligent choice that I knew based on my values. It's really important to get that based on my values. So yeah, these glasses are pretty distracting with the blue blockers, but they damn near look sexy. So it's so important. Number one, now when you get this part right, which we did with him, all of a sudden he got complete with that guy. And interesting thing happened within 3 days of that conversation where he restored integrity and got complete with that past relationship that was really holding him down, that was destroying his confidence. His confidence went up. He went into a boardroom and he shook hands and signed a deal for $5 million that was going to be delivered from now until Christmas. So he literally doubled within 3 months. He doubled his company's output in income simply by getting complete. So this is very important. If you don't have this part down, you're going to go into sales meetings and it's going to cost you hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's critical that you get this part right. Then the last part to the confidence here is ego and dark passenger, which I call wounded inner child work. Was on a call yesterday with a gentleman in his 70s, and this is the words that he said, and it was very low self-confidence with this guy. He said, if I don't want to be known. I don't want others to know me. I don't want them to see the real me, because if they see the real me, they're not going to respect me. Now, does anyone who's listening, can anyone really relate to that?
Yeah, totally.
That's a big one. And so what that means is there's guilt and shame that often is in the background that many people do not want to deal with. This is when I say, so why aren't you making the money? Why is your business not moving? Well, it's Facebook algorithms. It's people out there who don't have attention spans. It's everybody else. What that is that I'm listening for. I hear an ego that isn't really willing to look at themselves and the parts that they feel guilt and shame about, because that is exactly what's holding them back from having their confidence. Now, here's the magical thing that happens. When you get all of this right, okay, and you get your nervous system back in regulation and you get complete with your past, what happens is now you're present. You have a sense of presence that when you're confident, see, if I'm with you right now, Trevor, confidence requires presence.
Yeah.
If I'm on a sales call with you, if I'm on an enrollment call with you, if I'm not present with you, you can freaking feel it. I'm
totally
back my swear words right now. Confidence is the hallmark of presence. If I'm present with you, I'm not pretending to be confident. I'm just being.
Yeah.
Because when you un-F your nervous system and you get complete with your past relationships, you now have a sense of presence. When you get complete with your past relationships, you get that part right, and you've dissolved your shame and your guilt, you now have a sense of understanding for yourself, self-understanding and understanding of the other person, which is the hallmark of confidence. if I'm sitting with you talking and I get a deep understanding of you because I'm so present, automatically you can feel my confidence in myself because I don't make it about me. I get me, I understand me, and I'm talking to you, Trevor, and I get you and I understand you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you get that part right, you're present, you're understanding. And then when you've completed your ego dark passenger work and you've dissolved the guilt and shame, all of the parts of you that you have, judgment about, and your nervous system is regulated, you basically now have a sense of fulfillment. And the big one, the magical word I'm going to write here, authenticity. Now, authenticity, when somebody's authentic, especially in a business scenario, which is very uncommon for somebody to be so real, it's a sign of power. Even though there's vulnerability, people see that as a sign of weakness, but it's the exact opposite. It is where your confidence lies.
Totally.
You have authenticity. Wow, this is a mess. Holy crap, this is an absolute mess, but you get it, right? I mean, if you just were to see this drawing right now, I just took a look at it and said, holy crap, this is crazy. But check this out. You got presence here when you get this right. You have understanding of yourself when you get this part right. You now have fulfillment and authenticity. This is the magic here where we have the one universal solvent that we're all here to experience and to give and receive, which is love. And when you have that in a business scenario, it is extremely uncommon. And people can feel that, and they say there's something different about you. And you say, I know, it's because I love who I am, and I love you, and I love this interaction. And that's what I call the sweet spot. And it's available to all of us if we do the work, if we have a commitment. And I'm going to write this down here because it's not going to happen automatically. The confidence doesn't happen just without a deep commitment. You definitely need a commitment here. And if you want that confidence spread to other areas into your business and your personal life, then you have to understand empathic resonant communication. Resonant communication. And when you get that part right, all of a sudden, you can use your confidence for good. It's not just about you. You're basically connecting with the hearts of the individual that you're speaking to. They feel you, you feel them. And this is all done ideally in a community.
I was just going to say, Nima, because Randy just asked, so can strengthening confidence be a DIY effort, or do we all need a therapist? And I was going to jump in and say that, well, a therapist or somebody to coach you or mentor is definitely important, but community is huge too, right? Like,
there's a TED Talk that I just saw recently on how important it is to have a coach, how important it is to have a mentor. I mean, here's the thing, like the mayonnaise jar cannot read, you can't read the outside of a mayonnaise jar from inside. You can't see, like I can't see myself from the outside. So I require a mentor, somebody to hold me accountable when I don't feel like doing the work. And here's the other part, Randy, transformation happens in a community only, where you have an ability to share your truth. You listen to somebody and it happens within community. And it's more important now than ever with these screens that we're on all the time. We isolate ourselves and we connect socially via these social media channels, but we feel more isolated than ever. So it is critical to have a community. That's why in the ESM, the sales machine, the 30-day sales,
our expert selling machine, our mentoring program.
Machine, what happened was it was a community that was begun, but everybody was doing it themselves with some coaching calls. But then what they discovered was as soon as we started putting group calls in and we started sharing and getting vulnerable and doing this work, people's confidence started going up because there was community. Can you do it yourself? I call that shelf help. It's not real transformation unless you have somebody watching you who's calling you out, calling you back, holding you accountable, and there's a community of people where you can turn to, where you know that you're not alone. So confidence is not a do-it-yourself thing, because it's created in community. How do I know I'm being confident unless I'm connecting with you and we're engaging and I shared something very personal and vulnerable with you?
Yeah.
So this model here is how I completely transformed my level of confidence. And the thing is, I had to create it myself. That's why I created a program this weekend, this workshop and this 90-day program that actually teaches people how to become more confident with themselves by healing the toxicity with themselves and the past relationships. And when you get that part right, you now feel comfortable in your own skin. You can look in a mirror and say, I love you, which is a very uncommon thing for humans these days, but it's very possible.
I'm just trying to remember.
Any other questions?
Nima, what's the link again? I'm just going to pop it into the thing, into the chat.
Yeah. Well, what you can do is just send me a private message if you want to hop on a call, and I'd love to chat with you. It's drnima.com/intimacy-upgrade. We have one spot remaining, actually.
Yeah,
There's
I
only
know.
one spot left.
It filled up fast. It's a typical event type thing, right? It was seats available, and then all of a sudden, a week before, boom! It's like everybody's coming, right?
Intimacy well, it happens all the time. It's like I just sent out a thing for the workbooks. Great response. She said, "Yeah, do it yourself effort. We all need a therapist." Randy, I don't know if I've met you before. Reach out if this is something that you really are seeing.
Yeah, this is Randy's in our program. She's in our program, so you maybe recognize the name without seeing the face. But she's been on, I think, maybe only one of our mind body calls that we do in our mentoring program. Nima. That Randy. Well, it's that Randy.
But it's not a do-it-yourself. You're in the group calls. When you share vulnerability each time, you take a risk. And it's through the fear of taking a risk and then seeing the response that, boom, your confidence starts to go up. And boom, it goes up. And then boom, it goes up. But it doesn't happen on its own. Exactly. Absolutely, Randy. Yeah.
So
any other questions?
I was just gonna say too, Nima, when this really hit me, as far as realizing that it had to be internal work, it couldn't just be constant, feedback from others saying, "Hey, you're really good at what you do," or "Yeah, I'll buy your stuff." But it was like this inner work. When it really hit me was I belong to a mentoring coaching program myself, because I think it's important that if I'm going to mentor people in business, that I'm also being mentored as well. And in that program, I've found myself at times feeling these highs of like, all right, things are ticking, it's going good, I'm sharing wins and stuff. And then I see somebody, and this is a very high level mentoring program I'm in, where people are doing 7 and 8 figures in their businesses, but people would pop on there and say like, wow, just had a $460,000 week. And I'm like, oh my God, like, am I failing right now? Like, how can I possibly keep going? Just beating myself up over this, not realizing that like I've doubled my revenues in the last 6 months in my own business, which is a major feat. And you don't see what people go through on the other end either. But regardless of whatever those outside factors are, I have to work on me. I have to work on everything you just outlined here, being present, having understanding, being authentic, telling my true story, truly listening to people when you get on sales calls, and really working on that too, like active listening and articulating back to them, this is what I heard, like you can tie this into sales strategies or enrollment strategies or whatever you want to call it, but
into everything.
Yeah, it all gets rooted back into what you're referring to here, which is doing the work yourself and ultimately, loving yourself and the people that you're trying to do business with as well. And
it doesn't happen overnight, and it's definitely something that it's an investment in your greater self that's worth being made. Because this is where you are with it today in your level of confidence today, take a look at that. Within 1 year, this is where you are. This would be ideal, which would be extremely high self-esteem, where you're looking in a mirror and you loving who you are. This is where you are, and it's meh, okay. This is crap, and this is misery. You want to ask what road that you've been on, and what have you done? Are you heading down this way? Are you looking for evidence of your unworthiness? Where are you in this spectrum? And where would you like to be, ideally, here or here? And what's it going to take for you to get there? What's it going to take for you to get there? And what's at stake if you don't? These are the questions that you got to ask, because it all is about filling the cracks in your own floorboard and making sure that you have the right guide over the next, as soon as possible, over the next 60 to 90 days to get a move on, so that you can start seeing different results in your life with your business and your personal relationship. It's all mindset. Yeah. Confidence is a mindset game. So it's important to have somebody watch you and to help you get there.
Yeah. And we see it with every single person that joins our mentoring program too. And I say that not as a bad thing, because I've gone through the same experience myself too. The success in business that we see with the members in our mentoring program is directly related to the amount of work that they put in on themselves. It really is, and to their own mindset. Because in all cases, everybody that joins our program, they're really good at what they do already. You know, just like everybody that's here, I'm sure you're really good at something, right? There's something that you can hang your hat on and say, yeah, I'm an expert at what I do. The part that stops people from really reaching their potential is exactly what we went through here today. So on that note, let's keep it tight today. And I want to thank you, Nima, for going through this here today. And for anybody that would like to chat further about this topic, feel free to reach out to me, reach out to Nima directly. We put the link in the chat there. Feel free to check that out as well. The live experience of this is something that's indescribable, that's so different than, you know, work that a person can do on their own or behind a computer screen. It really is, because you get to actually see the real side of people, including yourself, as you go through it. And I know I'm looking forward to this weekend, Nima, and especially the breathwork side of things too. It's something that, you know, I was guilty. I was guilty at the start of this call. I said I wasn't breathing. It's a constant. It's an everyday thing. I catch myself all the time. So I'm looking forward to that especially. So anyways, anybody that wants to reach out, please do so. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day. Thank you for being here, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.
All right, man.